Welcome back to another episode of The Bigger Picture. I'm your host, Brendan Leung, and I'm excited for another chance to grow with you as we better ourselves, our communities, and our futures through the experiences of others. Before I introduce our newest guest speaker, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the growing impact that The Bigger Picture has already had on various communities across the country. As our community grows, so does the impact it will have. We have learned patience, the importance of never giving up, how to trust the process. We've also witnessed our guest struggles. With mental health, bullying, self doubt, struggle living away from home, and even lack of discipline. We have seen paths to success, heard advice, and gathered an incredible amount of inspiration from our few first guest speakers. I've received so many inspiring messages from people who have already used our guest experiences to better themselves and their communities. Youth hockey players, students, and multiple athletes have expressed the impact that our initial guest speakers have had on their lives and their excitement for our future episodes. As we continue to add different perspectives and experiences, I hope that our community will continue to spread and will be able to impact more lives in a positive way than it already has. Today, as we continue to grow and learn from others, I'm excited to introduce our newest guest speaker, Jack Lafontaine. Jack has recently committed to play D3 hockey at Assumption University. He is originally from Beverly Hills, California, and just finished up his 18U hockey career away from home in Connecticut. Jack, tell us about hockey growing up and how it led to your commitment to play collegiate hockey.
Yeah, Lang. So thank you for having me on the podcast, first of all. So I started playing hockey in Niagara Falls when I was around 2 years old. I was actually skating, like on the ice, doing like free skates, stuff like that. And the reason why is because my parents were Canadian, so they kind of forced me to hop on the ice because that's just what Canadian kids do. And then I kind of fell in love with the game from there. Growing up, I moved around a lot. So I was in Florida for a lot of my childhood, and Florida's a warm state. You wouldn't really think of hockey when you think of Florida. So what I would do there is because there wasn't a lot of hockey, I would just go on public skates and practice my skating, stuff like that. I remember like every Friday night there were like public skates with like people lying out the door full of people, and there's like a lot of people skating on the ice. So I would just like practice weaving in and out of them, and I would just have an absolute blast. But yeah, because there wasn't a lot of like hockey and skating in Florida growing up, I was forced. I think I played Bantams like my first year of hitting when I was like 10 or something like that. Like I was playing up, and I was pretty clueless on stuff like that. But when you're kind of thrown into that environment, like you're kind of forced to adapt and get better, which I think definitely developed me as a player, playing with such older kids at such a young age. And Florida has produced some pretty good players, so I was able to witness some good older players through, and they kind of guided me and taught me everything that I needed to know about the game, stuff like that. And so after Florida, I decided to, take hockey more seriously and go to a hockey academy. And that's where I went to Seacoast Performance Academy in New Hampshire. Um, it's like a kind of like Elite Hockey Academy, where it's like a straight, focus on hockey. You do online school at Seacoast, and you're just stuck at the rink all day. You practice in the morning, you do skills in the afternoon, and you work out after that. So it's just, your schedule is really packed and just full of hockey, which I definitely loved and definitely, bettered me as a player just to be in that strict structure like that. And that was my U15 year. So I believe we were ranked like eighth in the country. So we had a pretty good team uh, up in Seacoast that year. And then 16U year, I went back to Florida to play for my hometown team, Florida Alliance, which was a lot of fun. Um, that was the year during COVID. So a lot of places up north were kind of shut down. So Florida was the only place absolutely, going at full capacity. And all the ice rinks were open. So it was a huge advantage to get on the ice during COVID when nobody else could up north. So I definitely took advantage of that during the COVID summer, stuff like that. And that year, I think we were ranked like 30th, so we weren't bad. Met some good people, met some good friends. I had a really good coach in in Florida that taught me a lot, and I lived with him that year, so I lived away from home, so that taught me a lot too. But I've been living away from home for like my whole entire life, so nothing new to me. And after my Florida Lions here, I 60 or first year of 18U, I came to a Leung Academy, and I definitely learned a lot because it was my first year of 18s, and you're going on to a team that has older guys to kind of lead you, and you take a lot away from them. So that was a big step for me. Meeting on all the new personalities and stuff on the team. Last year was definitely a fun year. We were pretty good. I think we were like 50th, stuff like that. We went pretty deep. We ended up beating like the number one team in the country. It was a huge game for us. Yeah, and elite, I actually went to actual school instead of doing online school, which I have been doing. So that was definitely a huge step for me. Because online school, I found it really tough that like I couldn't contact any of the teachers or ask questions or really get engaged like I wanted to. Like in Florida, I would just get all my schoolwork done in like 2 hours on Monday, and the rest of the week, I would just be skating like the whole entire day, which is great for hockey development, but not really good on the academic side. So I definitely dropped off on like the academic side a bit. I had like C's and some B's, but mostly B's. But so I wasn't doing really good, but when I came to, elite and I actually went to, a brick and mortar school, Notre Dame of West Haven, it was a huge step up for me because, I like the first quarter, I was getting all A's because I could actually ask questions, get engaged in the classroom. I talked to people at lunch, talked to all my friends, see what they're thinking about classes, stuff like that. So it was just, it was an amazing experience for me. And so over the summer, actually last year I tendered to the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs, the NCDC, but I actually got cut from that team, so I ended up coming back to Elite for a second year of 18s, which was a pretty smart decision on my choice, just to get to really develop another year, take my hockey career to like a whole nother level basically because I was given a lot of opportunities my second year of 18s that I wasn't maybe my first year. So that was definitely special for me. And this year so far has been well, we're basically ended, but it was amazing. It was a unreal year. Had some unreal teammates that just made the year really special for me. It was my last year of 18, so it's kind of sweet and sour. But we weren't great this year as a team, but we had a lot of good players. We just couldn't get it on the scoreboard, I guess, for a lot of games. But it was an unreal year, no matter like how we did or how you slice it. It was an unreal team. And so that basically led up to my I had a pretty good year, I guess. So that basically led up to my commitment to Assumption University to play Division 3 hockey, which is you know extremely special to me because the I could just go from high school to college hockey without playing juniors is something that I was definitely interested in because I didn't want to be graduating college when I was 25 or stuff like that. That's what I was just thinking in the back of my head. And when Assumption asked me to come visit their campus after watching me play a couple games, I was honored, and when I went to the campus, I was pretty amazed at like the facilities that they have, like a team nutritionist, hot tubs, cold tubs. They got like a bunch of like massage people and like people that will cup you like whenever you want. Like sick gym, sick college campus in general. It was a pretty small school, so it didn't feel like, like a huge college where it's like 20,000 people and you're gonna get lost in the crowd and you're kind of just a number. Really felt like a tight knit community, and they have like a lot of programs and different types of clubs I could join as well as do hockey. So that was awesome, and then I was able to after the visit, I was able to watch a game, and hockey was really high intensity, really fast, strong, a lot of hitting, which was good to see because, I'm going to be playing there. So I want to know that, want to be playing a high level of hockey, I guess. So yeah, that kind of convinced me to commit there. They offered me like a couple weeks later, and I took some time to talk to my family, stuff like that, see if it's the right option for me. And when we finally came to the decision that it was, I committed there, and the rest is going to be history. So yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. I know that when you were tendered in the NCDC and you were eventually returned to the Elite Hockey 18U locker room, uh, how did another year of 18U play such an important role in your development?
It definitely played a huge role in my development. Just to get another year of 18s under your belt, where you have the confidence, you know what you're going to do throughout the year. Like I knew that we were going to go to New Jersey, and I knew what I had to prepare for. Stuff you just know what you have to prepare for, and it makes it so much easier to really excel on the ice. And that's what I try to do each weekend and stuff like that. I really knew my opponents. And knew I was heading into, and like I knew not to take anything lightly, which I got caught doing a couple times last year. But yeah, so I just really gave my all this year. And um, when I hear other kids that saying like, oh, I'm trying to play juniors after 1 year, I'm like, okay, but like it's you doing a second year of 18s is like amazing for your development, because you literally develop so much as a player in your second year, just because you're going from like 17 to 18 or 18 to 19, and that's just like a huge year, like physically, mentally, stuff like that. So it honestly has been unreal for my development to do the second year of 18s.
Yeah, very interesting. I know a lot of athletes can struggle with focusing on the present and getting caught looking too far into the future. One of our last guests, Sebastian Bradshaw, who also recently committed to an NCAA men's ice hockey team, he mentioned that staying focused on your development and training can be super difficult, especially when you have eyes watching you at the collegiate level. How have you been able to stay focused on the present when your college opportunities are right around the corner?
Yeah, what I just kind of think of is not to take anything for granted, like at all. If you think you have a spot on a team, you think you're going to be a top six forward or a top 4D, you just don't, because there's so many good players that are, yeah, that can step up to that role and fill your spot. If you're taking you take 1 day off, there's thousands of other guys that are not taking that 1 day off and are getting better than you. So that's just what I think. And I just you just got to go out and give it 100% every single time you're on the ice, and try to make as much impact as you can, I guess.
Yeah, and going back to this year, I know a lot of youth hockey players looked up to you, were cheering for you at the games, and hopefully, I know that a lot of them believe that they want to be in your shoes. They want to sit in your stall, wear the same jersey as you, and of course, they want to pursue a collegiate hockey career. What advice would you give them as they go throughout their hockey careers?
My advice would be just to you know work your hardest and not let your ego, or your don't have too much confidence where you think you're the best, stuff like that, because there's always going to be someone working harder than you or better than you. So just come into any position that you're in real humbly, and just put your head down and absolutely grind, I guess, because nothing's set in stone in hockey, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to work for your spot, or work for the goal or something like that. You got to work for everything. You can't just lay off the break.
Good advice. I know that over the last 2 years with Elite, you've lived away from home and have stayed with a couple different host families. What has your experience been living away from home to pursue hockey?
So I've been living away for a while now, so I've been pretty used to it. But my experience has been overall pretty good. My mom I was billeting when I was like 12 years old, I believe. With I was living with my coach in Florida. So yeah, I kind of got accustomed to that there. But these past 2 years at Elite, I've had really, really, really good billets. I'm really fortunate to have them. They're kind of I still talk to my old billet from last year like every single day. Like they mean a lot to me, and I think that I mean a lot to them. I'm basically like their sons now. So it's been I've been real fortunate to dug myself that deep in the community where I still talk my billet every day. Like it's unreal.
Yeah, it's crazy the impact that the building community and I mean the rest of the hockey community has had on your experience. I know that through the elite hockey program, you've become an inspiration to youth hockey players and personally mentored some other ones as well. Describe the impact you have had on the hockey community, both inside and outside the rink.
I mean, I like to think that I've had a pretty good impact on them, like on the ice, watch me play, because I know like all the little kids, they come to all of our games. They're lined up outside the locker room, giving us fist bumps, lined up on the glass, banging the glass at our games, watching us play. So, I really like to, try to give it my all out there just to inspire those kids and make those kids want to give it their all whenever they're on the ice and, be like Jack Lafontaine or be like Brendan Leung.
Yeah, and as I look into hockey a little bit more in depth, I want to recognize your role as an impact defenseman these last few seasons. There's a group of our audience members that just see your place as one of our impacting D-man, but they don't necessarily understand all the hard work that you had to put in to get there. Can you explain the dedication you've had to have in ending up becoming an impact player on this team?
Yeah, I feel like anything, if you want to be good at it, is hard work. So I've definitely had to work hard, um, to get where I am this far in hockey. Whether that's off the ice or on the ice. Working out extra or putting extra reps in on the ice, stuff like that. So whatever you got to be good at, you got to put a lot of hard work into. So I like to say that I work pretty hard. During the summer, during the off season, getting better. I mean, for like the whole entire season this year, I've just been eating like for every single lunch at Notre Dame. I just been having like a pack of tuna and rice just to kind of get my body right for the season. Try to be really healthy so I can really take my game to the next level in this year and next year, which is going to be very important for me.
And I know going back to the bigger picture's very first podcast, we had a guest, Quinn Tracy, and we talked about social life and the impact that hockey has had on his social life outside the sport. I know that you bounced around a variety of teams and organizations before landing in Connecticut for your last 2 years of youth hockey. Many players in hockey trade in a true high school experience and even relationships to dedicate themselves to a future in the sport. Describe the impact that hockey has had on your social life.
Yeah, it's definitely had a big impact, I guess. I mean, when you're this dedicated to hockey like me, you don't go to parties. You don't, hang out with friends unless I basically just hang out with my teammates all the time. You don't really, hang out with friends after school or after practice, stuff like that. So I haven't really, lived a regular teenage life where you're out on weekend, maybe you want to party, stuff like that, because I've sacrificed that to, excel in hockey. And I think it's gonna be all worth it in the end. And, I would do it. I would do it again.
That's awesome. One of our goals on this podcast is to give advice to those who will be in the like similar situations in the future. What advice would you give a youth hockey player as they begin to navigate competitive hockey?
Yeah, my advice for them would be, you know, um, you can either take the easy way out or you can, really stick it through and, excel in whatever you do. So I like to consider it as would you have one marshmallow now or two marshmallows tomorrow? So instead of going to the party, would you train and like, get better in hockey or go to the party and, just be average? So, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of stuff and it might look, like it's going to be better now. Like the party might look better like today, but tomorrow when you're in a game overtime, practice is going to look a lot better. And when you score that goal, it's going to be worth it that you practice today. So I just think that.
Yeah, and going off advice, has there ever been a piece of advice that's changed your life? If there was, what was it and why was it important to you?
Yeah, so a piece of advice from me that I kind of watched on TV. I think it was like a football television program that I was watching. It was this really hard coach, and he was like, put your head down and grind whenever you come in here. And so I've kind of taken that to heart, and I'm trying to do exactly what he says. Don't worry about anything else. Don't focus on anything else. Literally just put your head down and grind. Give 100% when you're on the ice, 100% in the weight room. Work out whenever you can, stuff like that. So just put your head down and grind is my advice for them.
Yeah, great message. I know that dedicating your entire life basically to athletics can be super difficult. Has there ever been a piece of your experience that you would change or redo, and why?
I don't think I'd change anything. Try to live with no regrets.
I don't know, amazing. I mean, I'm a firm believer in the idea that everything happens for a reason, and that we grow through our successes and failures. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your biggest successes and your biggest failures?
Yeah, well, I gotta obviously list my big successes as committing to, play Division 3 hockey. Uh, so that would probably be my biggest success. Uh, my failures, I mean, I definitely have a lot, too many to remember all of them, I guess. But exactly like you said, everything happens for a reason. And I guess when I was in the moment, getting cut from that NCDC team was, probably I was like, oh my God, my hockey career is done for. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is my biggest failure, what I thought of the moment. But in the long run, everything happens for a reason. And I stuck around the EHA another year, and, really developed and honed in on my skills in hockey. And, I just committed to play Division 3. So everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, and I know we're getting into that time when youth teams are beginning tryouts. I know our 18U program has tryouts April 5th and 6th, like super early. So a lot of our audience members can relate, and hopefully will use your experience and failures, honestly, to shape their own success. I know that you attend Notre Dame, the private all boys school, with your team, which has been obviously a very different schooling experience than a typical high school student, especially a different experience than the average student athlete within the hockey community. A lot of kids do the online school, like we talked about before. Um, can you describe your experience at Notre Dame in these last few years?
Yeah, so Notre Dame and online school are like night and day. Notre Dame's really engaging. The teachers are great. It's a great academic system that they're teaching there. I've learned so much, and one of my classes that I dislike the most is obviously math. But through a great teacher and great classes, I've really learned a lot, and grown in that subject to where I'm actually confident in it now, because it's kind of just, I'm a senior in high school, so it's kind of just like prepping you for college, stuff like that. And in college, a lot of people fail classes, and they have to retake them, which is a lot more money on their parents, stuff like that. So just to really hone in on those skills this year, and really focus in class, stuff like that, getting ready for college is a big thing for me. But last year, coming into Notre Dame straight out of online school, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I can actually ask the teachers questions, and like they're actually like nice to me, and they're actually teaching the subject pretty well, and I actually understand what they're talking about, because they take their time to talk to and teach each student, which I thought was pretty big.
Yeah, school is a very important part of development, and of course, it's vital to play hockey in college is to have good academics. I know that balancing academics and athletics is always difficult, especially when both are in such competitive environments. Um, I know that you're coming close to graduation and are about to begin a college hockey career. What are you most excited about and why?
I think I'm most excited about, just the first college hockey game that I can play in. My energy is probably going to be out of the roof that game. So yeah, I just want to hop on the ice, first practice, first game, whatever. I'm gonna bring a lot of energy into the whole season, I think, because I'm really like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe that I'm actually here, and so that's what I'm most excited for.
Awesome. I know that as you prepare for the next level of hockey, your off season is more important than ever. How do you plan to prepare for a college career as you step into the summer?
Yeah, so I'm going to be going against, 25 and 26-year-olds whose, bodies have developed, and, even their brains have developed more than mine. to say the least. So I'm gonna have to train pretty hard this summer. I got a couple personal trainers I trained with last year that were pretty good to me, and I think I'm gonna go with them again this year and really just focusing on nutrition and getting stronger and faster on the ice, which can really allow me to play with those guys in college.
Incredible. I know a lot of youth hockey viewers will be able to use like just your preparation and dedication to the sport to help themselves as they get ready for tryouts and of course in the next season. Outside of hockey, I know you're like obviously you're an incredible student and as well as a person with a very bright future outside of the sport. So outside of hockey, what would you like to do in the future?
I'm really not sure yet. I'm kind of deciding between two majors in college, um, between computer science and business. So, I'm not really sure yet what I'm going to do with my career yet. I'm 18 years old. I'm still pretty young, so I still got a decent amount of time before I need to know what I'm going to do in the future and, what my life outside of hockey is going to be like.
Yeah,
So, I'm still young, so I don't really know.
I mean, it's always such a difficult thing too, especially, I mean, it's stressful. If you had to give yourself or your future self a note of encouragement, what would it be and why?
If I had to give my future self a note of encouragement, let's see, that's a good question. Um, I would probably just tell myself to, with each failure that you take, try to learn, a lesson or take something from it because failures are really important and valuable in life to succeed because, after each failure is a success that you can, take from it like that. So just like the hockey thing, getting cut and then, committing to college, you have failure and a success because I've, kind of learned from my failure that to work harder, stuff like that. So I would just tell myself that.
Awesome. And I know you're a very hardworking and goal oriented person. As you look into your next season, what are some goals that you would like to set for yourself?
Some goals for myself are to have pretty good points, I guess, on the team. Kind of push myself really this summer to really get better so I can really excel in the college level. And I guess uh, probably just that's a good question. Uh,
Well, I mean, we can always circle back to that
all
one.
right, let's circle back to that
Okay.
one. Let's circle. That's a good question.
Uh, it, I mean, as we get into the back piece of our time together, I would like to touch on the idea of a legacy that you would like to leave behind. I know as you are stepping away from the youth hockey scene, entering a completely different college career. Uh, I mean, all year our team has really been centered on leaving the jersey in a better place and maintaining our acronym EHA, which stands for Elevate, Heart, and Attitude. Can you describe what you want your legacy to be as you move away from the Elite Hockey Academy and into a college program?
Yeah, I just want my legacy to be that I was a great person to the community, towards the community. I guess people obviously around EHA think of me as a funny guy in the locker room or just to hang around stuff like that. So as long as I'm just known as that, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, and has there ever been anyone in your experience that has given you support since day one? Someone that's been there to support you when you need it? Who were they, and what support did they give you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely just more than one person, I guess. I can list, probably make a list of like 20 right now. My mom, all my family members, stuff like that. Coach Alden, who has, really pushed me and, also helped me, get recruited, pushed a lot of coaches upon me, gave me a lot of opportunities that I can take advantage of. Um, my teammates, I guess, including yourself, have taught me a lot over the past 2 years. So I really can't give out one name. There's just way too many people in the EHA community to do that.
Yeah, well, Jack, I want to thank you so much for being here today with us on the bigger picture. We've learned so much from you, and I know that your story will allow our audience to better themselves, their communities, and their relationships. I want to thank you just for joining us on this episode of the bigger picture. And make sure to subscribe, follow us on social media, so you guys can stay up to date on our upcoming episodes. So I hope that through Jack's experience, our audience will be able to hear his experience and better their own. Thank you for listening to The Bigger Picture.